So this week we will be going through chapter 7 and chapter 8. And in chapter 7, we look at relevant cost. And the name of the chapter is decision making. Actually, it is differential analysis, the key to decision making. And what we do in this chapter is, again, using those same costs that we've been talking about all semester: fixed, variable, product, period, all those costs that we've been talking about, we use those to make decisions. For example, we get a special order. Do we have the capacity to fill that order? If we do have the capacity to fill that order, can we offer it a special price? And why would we offer it a special price? That one, pretty straightforward. If you have a special order that you haven't budgeted in and you have the capacity to handle that, your fixed costs are not going to go up, because if you have the capacity, you're in your relevant range. And so for a decision such as that, you would only be looking at your variable cost. So that's just one small example we look at in Chapter 7, but a pretty good overview. We're actually working on a case study right now with a bakery and a lot of relevant cost decisions in deciding, we have this bakery, do we want to open up a food truck? Well, can we handle the capacity to make the baked goods at the bakery so that we don't have to have the equipment for the food truck? So again, it's a capacity issue. And if we do have that capacity, are we going to factor in any of the fixed overhead? So there's just lots of different things you can do with the fixed and variable cost once you have a good understanding of it. And one of those is differential analysis, like we're doing in Chapter 7. Then we get over into Chapter 8, and we kind of change gears a little bit. We get into budgeting. And in particular, this one is capital budgeting. So big projects. That's kind of what I think about when I think of capital budgeting. And it starts out the chapter talking about a commercial fleet. So you can see it's kind of a big deal. Why do we do budgeting? Obviously, it's to prepare for the future. It's to plan. It's to assess. And it's to learn. The chapter 8 gets into 4 different methods, really, that they introduce to you. One of those is the payback method. So if we make this investment, when do we get our money back? That one does not include the time value of money. So it's not the best. It's a pretty good kind of like, wow, let's see just real quick, do you think this is a good investment? So if you go to step 2 and you're like, yeah, I think this is a good investment, then you want to look at the net present value method. This one's probably the most commonly taught for sure, but in practice, I always tell my classes, my uncle was an accountant, and long time ago, he had a job, and his job was to travel to large cities. He worked for a large corporation, and his job was to travel to large cities and put together a presentation to determine if they wanted to open a plant at that city. And basically what he was doing was the net present value method for a capital budgeting decision, and he would do comparisons. We have Oklahoma City, we have Tulsa, we have Frisco. These are our 3 options, and here's the net present value. Here's what we're going to spend. Here's how many years it's going to take us to earn that back, based on the economy, based on supply and demand, etc. But that's basically what he did. And then we have the internal rate of return. When you have, and often this is called IRR, and this one is going to be looking at, it's very obvious, the internal rate of return. And so we're looking maybe at different options and seeing which one has a higher rate of return. And then the last one I talk about is the simple rate of return. So we'll go through Chapter 8, a fun chapter. Of course, you probably realize now I think they're all fun. I love managerial accounting. And then after Chapter 8, we get this good dose of budgeting. In Chapter 8, we move into Chapter 9, which is master budgets. And again, still looking at budgets, but kind of combining this fixed variable that we've been talking about with budgeting. And so, again, another great chapter, very applicable to the real world, as many people will say. I actually do work in the real world as an accountant and do lots of budgets for clients. So anyway, welcome to chapters 7 and 8. You've survived half of the class. You have the midterm behind you, and I'm ready to finish this up. So good luck.